Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello, Gordon. How are you?
I can't hear your
No.
voice.
I am not muted. You are not muted.
Sorry, no sound.
Oh, then Ray.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Nothing. No sound. I can't hear.
I do.
Voice. No sound.
Your sound, yes.
So yeah. Okay, good.
Volume.
Sorry, no sound.
Volume.
Oh, then hello, sir. Nothing.
No.
No sound.
Hmm.
I can't hear.
I do.
No sound.
Sound. Wait. Yes.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. I think I could hear you now.
Yeah, you do.
Yes, it was my fault. I'm sorry.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah. Good to see you, friend.
Yes. Yes. Good to see you too. Oh, Nigel is here too. Actually, this is already on YouTube live. I wanted to check everything is okay, and I left it on. So some people might be watching it, but yeah, we don't know exactly, But yeah, anyway, it's already on YouTube. So don't strip your clothes.
All right. I'll try resisting.
All right. Oh, that's the tasting room you have. The nice one.
Yeah, I've worked today, so I figured, I'll just do it here.
Nice to meet you, Nigel.
Hi, Gordon. Yeah, I think we have a friend in common, or an acquaintance in common, actually. Do you know a guy called Bill? I can't remember his last name off the top of my head, but he lives nearby, and he mentioned you at some point. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, I know a few Bills. Does he live in Kanto or Kansai?
He lives in Nagano. He lives like really close to me in Nagano. Oh God, I can't even remember. Sorry.
That's okay.
I meet him like, I don't know, like once a month or so. But I can never remember his last name. It's real funny. Bill. Oh, O'Connor.
Okay, yeah. He's a Facebook acquaintance or social media friend, I should say.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Hello, Andrew.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Hey, Andy. I don't think I've ever like talked to you directly before, but I have seen you around, like especially with the Toji projects.
Yeah, we've both taken part, I guess, in Taste with the Toji. So I couldn't actually make it for your one, but I saw that. I spoke to Simone about it. So yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Cool.
So you're up in Nagano, is that right?
Yep. I guess you've been to Nagano, right? I mean, you've been in Japan for like, I don't know, a decade at least, right?
Yeah, do you know what? I've been as far up as Hokkaido. I've never set foot in Tohoku.
Oh, wow.
So I've been all over Japan except this huge part, Tohoku. So it's every year it's on my list, but with the last 2 years have just been a write-off basically, because can't really travel anywhere. So yeah, definitely next year. It's on my list, but yeah, Nagano and Tohoku and those places I've still not been to. So maybe I'll come up and visit the brewery.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah.
Where is your Kura, Nigel? I've been to Nagano, but I don't know the geography of it very well.
It's down the south.
Suwa?
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you near Masumi-san then? Or?
So Masumi's kind of like right. It's kind of basically in the middle. Like there's Lake Suwa in Nagano, which is kind of in the middle, slightly to the south. But basically from Masumi, there's a couple of valleys that extend out. And I'm in what's called Ino Valley. I wish I could I can show you on a map. This really cool map that they have in the store here. Hang on. Except the lights aren't on. And I gotta turn the lights on.
Where are you right now, Andy?
I'm in Hiroshima now. We've started brewing, so that's me stuck here for at least half a year. So
yeah.
And George is joining us tonight, I believe.
Yeah, I think at the beginning part, but he is. Yeah, I didn't really realize, but you guys were in the same event online.
Oh, it's a nice map.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, so here, sorry, if you guys are watching. Yeah, so that's Mount Fuji. And then here's Lake Suwa, so Masumi is like here. And then this here is the Ina Valley. And, well, sorry, I'm not sure if you guys know a lot about the geography of Japan, but this here is Ina Valley. And then from about here, you've got like Gifu from here. And then like Nagoya, sorry, Aichi's like from here, basically.
Got it.
Yeah, but we're basically down the bottom.
Yeah, apologies. I don't know why I said Tohoku earlier. I know exactly where Nagano is.
Yeah, next to Niigata. So I don't know. If you could kind of say we're Tohoku, maybe. I don't know. But
yeah, even Niigata is not considered Tohoku.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, wait, hang on. Is Niigata even part of Tohoku? Oh, gosh.
Yeah, no, I had a reservation actually to go to, do you know Kai? It's the onsen specialist place for Hoshinoya Resort.
Yeah.
Which my wife absolutely loves, as do I, Hoshinoya. But we had a reservation for the one in Nagano, but we ended up changing it, just because it was maybe a bit too far. It went up to Ishikawa instead. So
I remember your trip.
Yeah, and you know, how could I forget the sake? It was just well, both bottles were absolutely incredible. I kept the Honjozo, and my mother-in-law got the Junmai. So I think I got the best bottle, actually. I have to say.
Thanks for remembering, Andrew.
Yeah, it's actually very, very interesting shop, by the way, Gordon. They're one of the rare sakaya that obviously lay the sake down once they've received it. So you guys obviously did that. But they'd done the same thing. It was brought out through the back, and he said that he's obviously had the same conversation with Noguchi-san, that it's better to be laid down for a while. So that's exactly what he did. So it was a perfect place to buy it as well.
I gotta check this out.
Yeah, it's just a small little shop in the middle of nowhere, but the guy knew what he was doing with the sake, so it's great.
DM, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, how are you?
Great.
Nice.
Good.
I feel left out because 3 of you are working inside the Sakagura these days. I'm an office worker.
Don't worry, you have enough experiences.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
All right.
There goes Nigel. Maybe he has to go to the Koji Muro. By the way, I know we're going to get to a lot of drinking later, but I'm excited to have a kampai for Sake Day. So before I forget, Koji, thank you for bringing people together like this.
Thank you, all people here. I mean, it's great to get together sometimes after a while. And, especially yesterday was the kind of like a special day. So we can leave still a little footprint. For the day. So that's one of the intentions.
I don't mean to spoil the party, but I'm actually not drinking tonight or the entire brewing season. So I've made the decision to not drink for the entire brewing season, just to see if it helps my tiredness. So,
it's got to help you somewhat, Andrew.
Yeah, definitely.
Is it already started?
Yeah, we've started. I I'll probably be like George. I won't be able to stay too late tonight because I've got a 5:30 start tomorrow morning. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but George is here.
Hello, George.
Yeah, can you hear me? I've had some technical things.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, good. I got these fancy AirPod or ear pods, whatever they call these freaking things. But I'm still getting used to them, but they seem to work okay.
Yeah, I think the sound's actually as clear. It's more clear from you than anybody else on the stream right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, good to know. Apple makes a good product.
Yeah.
Anyway.
George, I was actually going to wear a T-shirt that says Heiko Fukuhako.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know Arlene.
Yes.
She sent me a T-shirt that actually I have two now because she sent me one, and she's a professional translator and interpreter. But the kanji, the first T-shirt she sent me was "hei" as in heiwa, rather than the hate for. So I ended up with two. So one with the wrong kanji and the one with the right one. So I should have worn it actually, George.
Yeah, but I'm impressed you're wearing the hoppy. That's even more elegant. So.
Yeah.
Nigel Sessler.
Yeah, I think Matsuda-san is joining as well, who is my partner for SAKE World Cup, as well as now we have been working on like a sake and shochu competition in Spain, and yeah, a couple weeks ago everything was done. But yeah, he is now muted, and then the video is off, but he's joining, and yeah, in a couple of minutes officially start. But it's just on Nomikai, easy drinking party. We exchange opinions and stuff. So don't be just pressured at all. That we just talk about sake. As long as we stick on this topic, everything all should be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't talk about the Chinese expansion to the South Pacific.
Right.
Yeah,
I'll see you guys later. That's the only reason I tuned in. So.
Yeah. DM, what are you drinking?
Today I went to Takimoto.
Oh.
Yeah. And I found Matsumoto Shwari.
Oh, nice. Huh.
So it's this one is Omachi.
That's a new label for me. I don't recognize it.
And also got another Omachi, but from Philip Tamagawa.
Yeah.
Yeah, but didn't something happen to Matsumoto Brewery? Like I just remember the news from last year.
We were not going to discuss controversy.
I think there was a bit of a coup.
Topic.
Yeah, you guys probably people in Kyoto probably know the situation better than I do. Yeah, I just remembered something. Anyway.
Yeah.
Matsuzaki-san, is he in?
He was here. He dropped out a minute ago.
Okay.
Does anyone actually know who's the Toji now at that brewery? Because obviously, the Toji was asked to leave. So as part of the takeover,
the shake-up, yeah,
the shake-up, yeah. So it'd be interesting to know if the sake actually even tastes like it used to.
Right. I thought
I didn't really drink it before, so I don't. I don't really have a reference. But.
Nigel's multitasking.
Sorry, I'm just running around.
Oh, it's okay. It looks like you're trying to do your day job and your fun job at the same time. What are you drinking, George?
Should I be honest?
Whiskey.
Whiskey, isn't it?
Whiskey indeed. Yes.
Yeah.
So I had a bit more sake than I needed yesterday. So I know that we're doing a nomikai, but to be honest, I don't have anything decent in the fridge. So I opted for something a little bit different.
That's great. Shift gears.
And as Andy knows, I'm quite a fan of his homeland beverage.
You're personally responsible for boosting our economy at this moment.
That's probably true. I know at what they call it, the Sake Mountain or whatever the discount shop here in Kyoto is.
Liquor Mountain.
Liquor Mountain. Thank you. Yeah. I know I'm pretty much 100% convinced that I buy all of their stock of the Bowmore. So it's every time I go in there, I buy the same bottle. It's literally half the price of what I pay in New York.
Wow.
So I still can't get over why it's so cheap here. It's less than half the cost for the same size bottle.
I mean, it is a Japanese company, I guess. So.
Yeah, I guess, what is it, Suntory or whoever?
Suntory.
Yeah, bought them. So there must be some sort of TPP-esque arrangement that they get it imported here very cheap. But yeah, I mean, I pay less than $30 for the bottle of the 12-year, and that's a $65 bottle of scotch at my local liquor shop in the Upper West Side of New York. So it's a bargain, and so that's what I joke with all my New York friends. They say, "Oh, you're so lucky you live in Japan. You must be drinking a lot of Japanese whiskey." I said, no, I don't drink any Japanese whiskey.
There's a really simple reason why whiskey is very cheap in Japan, because it's actually cheaper in Japan than it is in Scotland. But back in, when would Tokutei Shoshu come in? 1992.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess back in the 80s, Margaret Thatcher came to Japan and absolutely tore chunks out of the Japanese delegation about how much they were, how much import tax they were charging on Scottish whiskey. And they buckled and they lowered it, and it actually led to one of the main reasons the Tokutei Shoshu system came in as well, was on the back of that, because obviously it wasn't just sake that changed when that came in, it was legislation. So sake is whiskey in particular does not have high import tax applied to it when it reaches Japan. So
yeah,
one of the few things that Margaret Thatcher did right.
Yeah. Also, as George mentioned, the TPP stuff, I think affects a lot in the like Chilean wine from Chile in Japan is getting cheaper and cheaper every year, and it's really like you guys have to sell sake, but if you take a look at the prices, it's just good. A nice bottle of Chile wine, you can buy it for 700 yen, 800 yen. I think it makes this whole thing a little bit more complicated. Yeah, for sake especially.
Yeah, I agree. So
Matsuzaki-san, nice to see you, sir.
Nice to see you again. And Andrew-san, it's the first time to meet with you.
Yes,
but it's online.
Yes, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Imara-san talks about you, so all good things, of course. So.
Yeah, again, we've been I and Matsuzaki-san have been working on this Spanish competition in Spain, and Imada Shuzo contributed some sake, and thank you for that as well. I mean, I'm not pressuring you. Imanishiki, Nigel. I'm not pressuring, George and Guillaume. But thank you for that as well. Yeah, and thank you for joining this Nomikai event, a spin-off of SAKE World Cup today. And some people might be, watching this on YouTube. So let me just introduce myself first a little bit. All right. My name is Koji Uenoyama, and I'm the host of this event called SAKE World Cup. And the Sake World Cup event is a place where we introduce internationally made sake to Japanese people. So we want to bring in good images of like international sake world has around on sake into Japan. And that's the main idea. But at the same time, we would like to build a better relationship with breweries. All this idea, and of course, international brewers like these 5 people today. We just want to keep this thing, international sake relationship, happening and going forward and forward. That's the main idea. So this is the first trial of this Sake World Cup that we are having interesting, hopefully, conversation with you, 5, and plus Matsuzaki-san, the sake expert. So it's gonna be about 1.5 hours, and it's not officially event. It's just basically a nomikai, drinking party. So it's gonna be free conversational style, and we just exchange opinions and thoughts on what's happening around sake culture in your country, and we just think about future of this prosperous business for the entire world ultimately. So let's get started. Okay. Let's just get started with a short introduction of yourself. Just maybe 1 or 2 minutes, even shorter is fine. Where you belong to and what you do and where you're from, and how this whole state of emergency situation affected you. Whatever you might think of. Let's just share with that to just get started. Or before that, should we just do kanpai?
Oh, that's a great idea.
Okay. They are not drinking tonight, but just pretend like you're having something for World Sake Day, which was yesterday. All right. So I'm having today. I just picked something that I haven't tried for my life. Something neutral would be, I think, better. I thought. So this is from Saitama. Does anyone know this brand?
No.
Right. Never seen that.
Yeah.
Matsuoka Jozo.
Matsuoka Jozo.
Saitama. So Saitama, I just thought this would be nice neutral sake for tonight. But anyway, this is Kinu Hikari and doesn't really cost much. And yeah, I just chose this. And who else is having something special for this kanpai?
Yeah, of course, Gordon.
Oh yeah,
this is our Honjozo Noguchi no Hiko Sake Institute from Komatsu, Ishikawa, now available soon around the world.
All right. Yeah. And Matsuzaki-san has the Tamagawa.
Tamagawa, yes.
Hey, 2 Tamagawas.
Yeah.
Of course.
Mr. Harper.
Yeah, Harper-san is the legend for, I think, especially you international brewers. Yeah, sorry, he is not joining today, but hopefully maybe next
Sake is coming.
Yeah. All right. Okay, just hold your cup. If you don't, that's fine. Let's just do a kanpai for World Sake Day. Kanpai.
Kanpai.
All right, Gordon, you want to start? Like your story and your introduction?
I'm Gordon Hetty. I'm living in Kyoto these days, and I'm a remote office worker for Noguchi no Hiko Sake Institute, which is about 3 hours away in Ishikawa. I'm the brand ambassador for Noguchi Toji. My background in sake began in 1998 when I helped start a sake brewery in America called Sake One. I divested from that brewery to Hakutsuru in 2012, and shortly thereafter started my journey in Japan making sake. So I spent 3 seasons making sake at Wakatakeya Shuzo in Fukuoka, 1 season making sake in Gifu at Nakashima Shuzo, famous for Kozaimon, and then 1 year making sake with Noguchi Toji, who is considered by many to be one of Japan's greatest tojis. This is our Honjozo. and it's available in the United States these days. Many of our sakes are, and my job is to help promote our sakes around the world.
Good, great. So 3 different breweries you have experienced with.
Yeah, 3 in Japan, 1 in America. The one in America, I never worked there. I was just an investor and an active investor at that.
Yeah, but Sake One is one of the pioneer sake makers in the States, right?
Yeah, for a while they were the only American-owned sake brewery, and now they're under the leadership of Akatsuru primarily, but there's other investors like Kasumi Suru, Momokawa Brewing of Japan, Yoshinagawa from Niigata. So it's a very nice international template, bringing Japanese and international people together to produce and market the sake.
Nice, great. Yeah, Matsuzaki-san is an expert, of the whole sake world, but especially like breweries, microbreweries in the States. Yeah, he has connections with. So maybe he can share with, with us about these, what's happening in the U.S. Sake breweries later on. Yeah, I see Andrew next to Gordon. So Andy, next.
Yeah, Andrew Russell. I work in Hiroshima for Imada Shuzo Honten. I'm just started my 3rd season there. Before that, I worked for 3 seasons as well at a company called Juhachi Zakari Shuzo in Kojima, Okayama. So yeah, like I said, this is my 6th season making sake. I'm in charge of the moto this year to give you all a reference to my my lowly status. So yeah, that's about it. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Did you say you where are you from?
Oh, sorry, I'm from Scotland in the UK. I was born in Edinburgh, if anyone knows where that is.
Wow. So for moto, Imada Shuzo's new moto, are you trying something new this season?
Yes, actually we are. We started this last year, and it was a continuation from 2003. We've been experimenting with different kinds of moto. Back in 2003, I obviously wasn't there, but they tried they call it a hybrid moto. So it's the idea is to try and find a slightly new way of making moto. But I'm completely infatuated with kimoto. So last year, I practically begged Imada-san to try making kimoto, because we everything we made was sokujo back then, and she agreed, thankfully. But as is our sort of way, we wanted to try something a little bit different. So it just got released yesterday, actually, but we're calling it hybrid kimoto. So it combines elements from traditional kimoto with koon toka, which is a relatively modern way of making or high temperature sacharification moto. So we've kind of combined 2 elements from that. Wow. But we're going to take it one stage further this year, and we're going to slightly change the process, and we're going to do 3 different types of kimoto. One of which will hopefully be in kyoke as well. So, wow. So yeah, that's the big challenge for this year, and very very honored that they're going to trust me to to do this. So under strict supervision, of course.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
Yeah, that is.
And Andy, are you getting any feedback from other breweries? Like I'm thinking specifically of Nakao Shuzo about the Kuntoka Moto. As you know, they were pioneers in this.
To be honest, koon toka is pretty much standard practice in Hiroshima. Yeah. It's kind of considered. We actually don't normally, our sokujo is not koon toka, it's chuon. So a slightly lower, slightly longer fermentation pattern. But a lot of the breweries, that we keep in contact with are, including obviously the brewery that you just mentioned, they're in the next town. They're famous for koon toka. So it's kind of really been taken up by a lot of the Hiroshima brewers, not exclusively, but
wow.
So yeah, that's kind of almost associated with Hiroshima sake production now.
Yeah, I think Nikao Shacho's grandfather or father helped start that in Hiroshima.
Yeah, it was there. Yeah, and actually, I should probably say that Imada Shuzo and that brewery are actually affiliated. They're actually related to each other.
Yeah, they're cousins.
Yeah, they're cousins. So yeah, there's an obvious kind of we don't sort of talk on a exchanging information level. But back then they may well have done so. But it's certainly gone beyond just, Takehara and Akitsu. There's a lot of breweries used corn toka.
Oh, it's so interesting. I can't wait to try these.
Yeah, well, available now. So
yeah, well, the Kioke that you mentioned really caught my attention too.
Yeah, hasn't arrived yet. Again, this is one of my things that I've been.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been sort of pestering Imada-san. You can probably tell the one of the best things about working at Imada Shuzo is they are very, very much open to ideas. Yeah. So Kioke is something that I've wanted to work with since I started brewing. It's a small Kioke that we've bought, but it's good enough for us. It's a start for us. So I think it arrives at the end of the month, and hopefully we'll have sake in it by the end of the year. So fingers crossed, everything will go to plan.
Wow, that's so interesting. I mean, your short introduction already expanded to deep conversation. But thank you.
Sorry, yeah.
No. I mean, that's really interesting. And for those who might be watching on the YouTube live, they might not be so familiar with sake words. And moto we've been talking intensely here is yeast starter. So it's the first very intense sake to just multiply yeast. That's the motto. And Kioke is another thing. It's a traditional wooden cask. What do you call it in English? Yeah, is it correct?
Yeah, wooden tank, wooden cask. Very seems to be making a comeback recently. A lot of brewers, recognizing the potential for a different type of fermentation, and that's why we're doing it. It's not to sort of be nostalgic or anything. We think that with our soft water brewing method, that kind of that slightly different fermentation pattern will hopefully suit our sake brewing as well. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah, it's so interesting that things that are happening in Japanese sake breweries. Some super traditional things are coming back to produce something new. I think that's a new trend that's been happening in only in the last, I would say, 5 years, especially. And everybody's going back to Kimoto and Kioke, etc. So it's so interesting. Yeah, thank you. And let's just talk about this later as well. Okay, next I see Nigel from Imanishiki.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name's Nigel Hay, and I joined Yonezawa Sake Brewery about 3 years ago now. We're located in the southern end of Nagano. Another name for Nagano is Shinshu, and it's quite interesting with particularly people in this area, they like to be known as the old name for Nagano, which is Shinshu. Not many other places in Japan have that, I don't think. If anyone knows anything about Japan, the geography, Nagano is just basically full of mountains. So there's, you get that nice clean mountain water that we use in our sake. And it's also home to about the second highest number of breweries in the prefecture, right? Most being in Niigata. But anyway, about me. What do? I do a lot of things. It's kind of hard to talk about what I do because there's not a lot of things that I don't do. We're not a very big brewery. We have about 10 workers in total, which means, basically I'm very flexible with my job. So I do a bit of production. I do sake making in the winter as well. I do office work. I do local sales work. I do overseas sales work as well. a jack of all trades, but unfortunately it means I'm kind of like that jack of all trades, master of none situation. So yeah, I mean, we've got Andy here, who's the mortal, is in charge of the mortal, so which is quite exciting, I think. But unfortunately, I don't think I'd be given such a responsibility as that. Instead, I help out in various aspects, so like with washing and the kaide. I do some aspects of koji making as well. But yeah, I'm like the all-rounder basically of the sake brewery.
All right. Yeah, good to hear. It's been already 3 years. I think I first time I met you was 3 years ago. So I think, it was the time when, you just started your new career. You used to be a LT.
Yes. Yeah. I came to Japan 7 years ago when I was sort of dispatched here on the JET program. I was dispatched to where I currently live in Nakagawa village. So it's a very small village in the middle of Nagano. Yeah. And anyway, I did ALT work for about 4 years, and I wanted to try something new basically. After 4 years working as an ALT, I wanted to try something new, and I really liked this area. So I wanted to see if I could do anything locally. And while I worked as an ALT, there are opportunities to plant and harvest sake rice with the local brewery. So I did that every year. They also have the shinkai, the new sake tasting event, and I did that every year as well. And basically, just when a couple of locals heard that I was going to try something new, they said, "Oh, why don't you try talking to Imanishiki? They need some help." And I thought, okay, I'll try. And so I was always interested to learn more about sake, but I was never really that knowledgeable about it. Yeah.
Now you're into it, and yeah. All right, great. Thank you. And okay, let's go to the next participant, Georgie-san, Jorge-san. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, Koji. It's nice to see you again. I miss your Hana sake bar in Osaka. Long overdue for a somewhere that we can get together and drink. But anyway, I'm George Navarrete. I work at Matsui Shuzo in Kyoto. It seems as if we're all in our third years. I too, I just started my third season at the brewery. So full on Kurabito right now. Basically spending full time in the brewery, and we're only there's three of us plus our toji, so it's an incredibly small operation, which thus obligates us to literally do everything, from scaling rice to the koji muro to doing the shikomi, the shibori, bottle washing, whatever needs to get done, sake kasu, we do it all. So it's entertaining, but our brewery is located literally right in the center of Kyoto City. So once travel and tourism resumes, a big part of our business is frankly doing tastings and hosting foreign visitors to the brewery. And that was a big part of my job pre-corona. So I expect that to return, hopefully when the tourism picks back up in Kyoto. But for the moment, it's been a great experience, sort of digging full dive into the brewing side of it and learning much more than I ever anticipated. So it's been terrific and really working on a lot of different things right now. We're starting to make liqueurs at the brewery. Our Chacho is thinking about also getting into distilled products. We might be making either a gin or a rum or something interesting as well. So, from that point of view, it's expanded beyond just the honshu world and looking into other forms of alcohol, which, as I sort of pointed out, I love my nihonshu, but I'm also a big fan of other forms of alcohol. So to the extent that we can do that type of stuff, it's also terrific. So I'm looking forward to tonight's discussion. I've been did an entirely new style of shikomi recently that I'm interested in getting some of your thoughts on. We did a low alcohol brewing that required a yondan as opposed to just doing a traditional sandan. And that's been a real education in terms of what's involved in that fermentation process. So if we get into that level of detail, yeah, I'd like to pick you guys' brains on it. But beyond that, looking forward to answering any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. And you are from New York, and you have
yes.
which is the like in a hub for sake modern international scene, I would say. And you have also some experiences to sell actually sake in New York as well. Like,
I worked for an importer. I'm also a kokuzai kikizakeshi, so I'm an international sake sommelier. So I've been accredited in that. I used to host events prior to getting into the brewing. So worked on the business side as well. So very familiar with kind of the import-export process and the international side, if you will, on that, and hopefully can help Matsui-san and our brewery start to export more. We're already doing it. We picked up a huge contract in mainland China, which frankly, if we're getting back to how the COVID's affected the business, I would say one of the biggest impacts is forcing us to look at other markets. And the beauty of China is, say what you will about the country, when they buy bottles, everything's measured in thousands, not dozens. So they're literally buying tanks, and they're buying tanks of the expensive stuff. So God bless them. But at this stage, we want to do more of that. We're already in Singapore, Taiwan. I think we're going to be looking into getting possibly into some small markets in the U.S. and certainly into Europe. So all part of the future, and I look forward to helping out on that side as well.
Yeah, nice. I mean, if the time allows, let's just talk about the business side of sake international world as well. All right, thank you.
Sure.
And, I see Matsuzaki-san next, but let's go first. I never pronounce your name right.
It's so easy.
Address you.
Yeah. So hi everybody.
Hello, Guillaume.
So my name is Guillaume Ozan, and I'm from France. I'm a brewer since 8 years now.
Yeah. That's so cool.
I started working 8 years ago for Yamamoto Ronke in Fushimi. I just stayed 3 years there. Then I moved to my actual brewery, Tsukino Katsura. So in France, I studied food industry and biochemistry, microbiology. So when I started making sake, I had a different image of the process. For me, everything is a chemical reaction. And for me, the most important element is the yeast. Everybody talk about rice, but for me, it's the yeast. When you drink a gijo, when there is pineapple aromas, it's not from the rice. So for me, it's everything. And I always, read on Facebook, the post of your boss, George, Matsui-san.
Yes.
Because you always, think about techniques, about chemical reaction. And for me, sake is just that. It's not, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's I look at our t-shirts. I have the formula for fermentation is right on the sleeve. I have a very how shall I say, geeky boss that way. And I think one of his best days is about a month ago, we got some extremely high-tech equipment to do all of our bunseki analysis.
That's great.
And you have to come and visit, Gordon, because I mean, this is really high-tech stuff that we have now.
I love seeing that.
Yeah, it's really amazing that we can sort of exactly pinpoint the sando, nihonshu do, the alcohol content, amino sando, everything. So it's and for, like I said, the way my chacho Toji approaches the business is very chemistry, scientific point of view. So it's definitely right up his alley.
All right. And what makes Tsuki no Katsura so special from your perspective, or like from the brewery's perspective as well?
I think the history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And innovation too, Guillaume. You had some very innovative products.
Yeah, in the past. In the past, because of course there was the nigori, there was koshu, but it was like I don't know now, 60 years ago, and now there is nothing.
Oh, so you are the one probably who needs to make another innovation. You think?
Yeah, I'd like to, but I think my company is too scared to change something.
All right, yeah. I mean, Tsuki no Katsura is so famous for its nigori. Like they even created this concept, right? I think nigori, like how much of rice should be remained in the sake part, and I think I mean, Tsuki no Katsura is one of the pioneer to create even the rule of nigori.
And you have you work at the oldest sake brewery in Fushimi, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Everybody said they are the oldest. So it's difficult to know.
Yeah.
Where's the origin of sake? Yeah, there are just so many, right?
Yeah, there is many different kind of sake. So we stopped last year. We stopped the Honjozo style.
Oh, you did. So you don't make
from this season. Just Junmai.
Only Junmai.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, good to hear that. And let's just talk about your brewery as well later on. And lastly, but not the least, Matsuzaki-san.
Hi.
Yeah, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Haruo Matsuzaki. I'm a critic, sake critic, but I have also the other business as just supporting sake breweries to export their sake to outside of Japan. And also, I'm very interested in visiting sake breweries outside of Japan. When I go to foreign countries for my exporting business, I sometimes visit sake breweries in US, for example, in US or in Spain or in France or some other countries like Canada, or I have been to once Chile in South America. There is a sake brewery, one sake brewery in the wine country. Very
I had no idea.
It's very interesting. And I also very interesting in just sake. Not Japanese people love sake, and even you are going to just joining us to just brewing sake. That's very interesting. So we like to support us to you as as making some events like Sake World Cup. So I'm very happy and I'm very glad to join with you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Kanpai.
Bye. Kanpai again.
The first idea of Sake World Cup I had was just that I wanted to taste some of the internationally made sake, and I was like, browsing on internet and who's making that and that, and like accidentally there's this shacho from Gifu. Now he's in Hokkaido. Michizakura Shuzo.
Yeah, Michizakura.
Yamada Shacho, Yamada Toji. I called him directly, and because I saw an article online that he helped to build sake brewery in Mexico, and he went actually physically to teach how to make sake there. And now their sake is really great, and he's the teacher, the instructor for that brewery. And I read this article and I was so interested, and I called him and talked about this Sake World Cup event idea. I want to collect all these internationally made sake, etc., etc. And he was like, "Oh, you have to call Matsuzaki-san first." And he's the one who's doing that first. Yeah, I was like, okay, and who's Matsuzaki-san? And and I met Matsuzaki-san, and we talked about this idea, and he had the knowledge and experiences, everything, and I had only the idea and maybe the actually doing this part. And we got together, and now we've been working together on that idea and also different stuff as well. So yeah, I think Matsuzaki-san as well as Yamada Toji from Michizakura for this to make all this happen. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's great to have you all, and including me, 7 people, like sake geeks. I think the conversation goes pretty interesting. But first, I'd like to start from a little bit outside of this geeky world of sake. I'm so interested in people who work in Japan, basically like in general, and how foreigners think about this like working experience situations, like how your life has been like as a gaijin, sake brewer or teacher. Some people like how has your experiences been just outside sake, but maybe with sake as well. But like, what do you think about working in Japan in general as a gaijin? Does anyone has any opinion?
Oh, there is many.
Yeah, I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of opinion on this one.
Easy, tough, like bad experiences. Honestly, like good experiences, like how people treated you, something like that. Like you have.
And in the sake business, like in shokunin.
Mm-hmm.
Is really different that experience in international companies.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
It's my experience too, Guillaume, that if I tell someone in Japan that I'm helping to make the sake, most people think I'm the toji. So I'd say no.
People who don't know more about sake, they just understand toji.
Yeah.
Kurabito is toji.
Yeah.
they don't understand that there is grace in the Kurabito.
Yeah.
Even if me say, oh, I'm a toji. Yeah, so it's not, because they just understand toji. They just remember the name toji. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think getting back to your broader point, Koji, I think it's probably fair to say that most foreigners, and I'm sure this group is included, we have other ties to Japan rather than just necessarily our work. Many of us kind of married into this world. I did. I've been coming here for the better part of 30-something years. So the familiarity with the culture was already kind of baked in before we kind of started the work. So I can't say that I've been particularly surprised by sort of anything that has occurred at the brewery, other than the fact that I was pleasantly surprised, not that my chacho welcomed me because he hired me, it's more the relationship I developed with my fellow Kurabito. That surprised me. I always figured that they would be a little bit standoffish, like, you know, who's this guy, Gene? What's he doing here? And kind of sort of distancing themselves from me. But that hasn't been the case at all. I feel, despite, you know, what I would call at best mediocre language skills, they have been very, very inclusive and considered me fully as part of the team. And that's been, you know, for me, very heartwarming. And that's been a surprise. I really expected that I was kind of be treated a little bit like sort of like the boss's exotic toy that they brought in. But you know, for the most part, it's really, like I said, I really feel fully part of just one of the guys. You know, we go in there and we get together in the morning and do our pre-meeting and lay out the schedule for the day and who's going to do what, et cetera. And so I like that. That has been a surprise. But, you know, I think for the most part, you know, the reaction when I meet other Japanese and I tell them they're Kurabito, you know, that obviously always raises eyebrows. It's, you know, it's unusual. As you can tell, I think we probably represent about 80% of the Gaijin sake population.
Yeah,
right
that's
now
a good
on this
point,
call.
George. George,
Yeah.
there's 20,000 people in Japan making sake. 20,000 that are registered with the government as being sake brewery workers.
Yeah.
So there's so few. I can't help but think that as sake increases in popularity and people hear stories like ours, that more international people will want to come to Japan to do this.
Yeah, I agree. As I said, it's fascinating work, and I mean, I can call it a lot of things, but it's never boring. It's very physical, and for somebody who's not 25 anymore, it's trust me, I feel at the end of the day, and this whiskey's hitting the spot right now. So you know, it's. But you know, beyond that, I think it is exciting, and it's been great to be on the front lines and just really be part of this. And I really very eager to get back to be able to do more of the promotion events and part of that. I mean, that's so important. And I think as foreigners here, that's what we really bring to the table. You know, we can globalize this beverage, take some of the exoticness out of it, you know, make it more approachable. And I think it's such an important part of what we do as brewers. And, you know, I'm looking forward in a post-Corona world to get back to doing just that.
Right. Yeah. Well said. Yeah. Great. I mean, you feel really like included in the community around you now. And do you think it has something to do with Kyoto, like, you know, which is such an, you know, I wouldn't say it's a multicultural, you know, place. It's it's kind of conservative society behind as well. But
George has a special advantage, though, is his cute daughter.
Yeah, with her Kansai bent. So
experiences that Nigel and Andrew, who are a little out of the big cities, have, you know, different experiences. I just suppose, you know, from my you know, perspective of Japanese.
Yeah, I think just quickly, I think it's very fair to say that yes, Kyoto is, let's say, used to dealing with foreigners. You know, if you walk around Shijo, it's in its heyday. This was a city that was getting 50 million plus visitors a year. So you know, seeing foreigners on the street is absolutely nothing exotic. So I think that did help a lot. It's also interesting that, you know, a lot of I'm not the only brewer at my brewery that comes from a completely different background. You know, I work with a brewer that, you know, spent his career at Hitachi. You know, he was an engineer, and also he grew up in Kyoto. So he's a Kyoto-jin, but you know, you want to get out of the rat race of his previous sort of salaryman job. But again, he brings that broader perspective. But he's been posted overseas. He was in Vietnam. He was in Thailand, and so he's again used to working in a more international environment. And I think that's really been the difference. But yeah, I'd be very curious to hear, particularly from Nigel. And you know, sort of, I have a good friend that has a place in Nagano. I love Nagano. But I've been to also some of the small towns, and you know, it's a very different from Kyoto. So I'd be curious what the reaction has been there.
Go ahead, Nigel.
Yeah, we don't get that many foreigners coming down the southern end of Nagano. Like I know for people who are quite familiar with Nagano, there's lots of snow, lots of ski fields. So particularly in winter, we get lots of Australians in particular, and New Zealanders as well, I suppose. But I'm further down the southern end where we don't get that many international visitors, or there aren't that many foreigners living in this area. Gosh, I mean, I've had like no problems getting on with my coworkers. I'm not sure if it's like the company, the shafu, the company culture, I suppose. But the brewery became a group company of a larger kanten agar maker. They make a agar. And they have a very, very welcoming, like very warm company culture. So honestly, I've had no problems with my coworkers whatsoever. The Torji's a bit crazy. Like I don't, he always just throws in whatever English he can to me, like all the time, and it's real bad. Yeah, like I do a bit of the local sales as well, and a lot of the sake shops are very surprised when they see me when they first meet me. It's like, oh yeah, this is like when my boss introduced me, this is your new tanto, this is the person who's in charge of you, Nigel. And it's like, yeah, and then they're always very surprised to see that. Of course, it doesn't go well all the time just because of like my Japanese is not very good. But I mean, yeah, they're very accepting. Like it's kind of hard. Like as a foreigner, like I feel like I'm given a bit of slack. Like I'm forgiven a lot more than necessarily my Japanese coworkers would be. So I'm very lucky in that respect. But honestly, everyone's fantastic. Yeah, it's very relaxed environment to work in.
Andy, how about you? What was the transition like to go from Okayama to Hiroshima? Was it a smooth one?
Well, the two breweries are actually very, very similar. They're both within 2 minutes walking distance of the Seto Naikai. They're both very small. But the other thing they have in common, I guess, similar to Nigel, is they're in extremely rural regions. There really is where I am now. There's nothing. I mean, the town has been, in decline for decades, I would guess. So that's been one, I suppose, challenging aspect is having to live in these very, very rural areas where there's really nothing to do at all in your free time. But it's a small point, I suppose, but one that's probably everyone's had experience with is the language barrier. It is very much a challenge. Even now, 6 years on, working in a brewery. I came from Okayama. That's also where I studied, and they have a very particular dialect that they use in Okayama. And then I came to Hiroshima, and again it's different again. Luckily, Imada-san has traveled extensively, and she kind of knows when to switch on her Hiroshima Ben and when to switch on her sort of slightly better English. But the most problematic aspect for me as a foreign brewer has always been language. I mean, just their neighboring prefectures, but even the terminology they use, which most Japanese people don't know either. Certain names that they use for equipment and things. I found out to my dismay that just going to different breweries was completely different. My first, I think my first season, I had a very, very strict what they call kashira, or head of the brewery, not the toji, and we were bottling futsushu, I think it was. And a tank just suddenly started like gushing out sake. So it was all a big panic. And he sort of screamed at me and he said like, "Kitsune motte koi." And I'm sort of like thinking, what on earth is this guy talking about? I knew what kitsune meant, but he just kept screaming, "Kitsune motte koi." And I sort of, in my head, I'm thinking he's asking me to get a fox. So he's telling me to go and find a fox. because that is what kitsune means.
Yeah.
And luckily, one of the brewers kind of said to me, Andy, kitsune is actually this thing, and it kind of looks like it's
a fox's ear,
like a fox's ear. But when I went to Hiroshima, there's loads of these words like tombo and for dragonfly and kitsune, and all these kind of weird names. Yeah,
saru in the bottom of the koshiki.
Yeah, but when I went to Hiroshima, they have a different. They still use tombo and kitsune and things, but they use them for different equipment. So after 3 years thinking I was finally getting to grips with this, I moved to Hiroshima, and it was all like starting again. So yeah, Japanese remains the bane of my existence.
But it's been 3 years, right? In Hiroshima. So now you feel more comfortable with those special words and dialects and accents and stuff.
I'm getting there. Yeah, it's when you learn Japanese, you learn from textbooks typically, and if you hear Okayama Ben, very thick Okayama Ben, they use the first time you hear someone say like shine. In Okayama, which is a real kind of shock even to Japanese people. But then you hear them in Hiroshima, and they're next door to each other. But when they speak, even Imada-san, who's the easiest to understand at my brewery, but when she speaks to other locals or her family, and when she speaks fast, it's like a different language. So,
all right. Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah.
Andy, I want to mention something about these animal names for things in the Sakagura. I had a coworker who was a recent Tokyo Nodai grad, and he was explaining that traditionally they came up with these names because sometimes children had to go to work in the Sakagura. So long time ago, to teach children how to use these tools, they gave them the name of an animal. It was easier for them to grasp and to work with. I don't know if it's true, but it made sense.
There's certainly a lot of them. I mean, kuruma neko, and there seems to be an inordinate amount of tools that they use in the brewery that are named after animals or insects. So
yeah, and I have another question. What about rudeness in job?
What's that, sorry?
Yeah, rudeness. When the toji of your senpai talk to you, like, is it kind, is it friendly, or is it really rude or unpolite?
In my experience, I don't. Sometimes it can come off as very blunt. My first toji, when the pressure was really on, I got really chewed out quite a few times. No punches pulled in front of everyone, but I noticed that he did it to absolutely everyone, including the kashira as well. So when you see it wasn't just me. I think someone mentioned a minute ago that probably I always felt that maybe they were being a little soft on me in my first season because I was a foreigner, and I think I got away with a bit more. But after my, once they realized it was more than one season, I wasn't just going to leave. I sort of, that's when I really, I got some, proper tellings off. But then when I saw it happening to the kashira, then I thought, okay, that's, he does that to everyone. So but I can kind of understand, as a kurabito, with someone that just has this small little piece of responsibility, and then you try and put yourself in the position of the toji, who has to come in and worry about all of these things going on at the same time. I kind of accept that there's going to be periods where they're going to lose their cool maybe, or they're going to they're going to shout at you for not doing something properly. But if you take it constructively, then I think that's the best strategy.
DM, to your point, just everybody's always been polite to me, or they've treated me like everybody else. So if I made a mistake, I was treated the same way as anybody else.
Yeah, man. You had chance.
Well, I think what Guillaume is pointing out is had something to do with this sense of like shokunin. I think everybody knows this word, shokunin, like craftsmanship culture.
Yeah.
I think it's really special, and even for the Japanese, that they don't really actually. I don't know if this ever happened to you, but from my perspective, shokunin, they don't teach. They just
Yeah, there is there is some words like my senpai here in Tsukinagatsura, since the beginning, always said to me, "Mite oboite, mite oboite."
Yeah.
They they are not like, I don't know in America or in other country, but in France, when you enter in a company, the boss wants you to do a job. So if you don't know the job, someone has to teach you. So as soon as possible, you have to do the job. So we are always with someone else, and every day, they teach you how to do. And then you can do. But in the Japanese shokunin, like you say, to become a Toji, it takes 10 years. No, it's not true. It's not true. Because they don't teach you, so you don't know. You don't know. Of course you don't know.
Yeah, but
If you don't know how like the most important things, in sake brewery, is like the analyze. Every day you have to analyze the motor and fermentations, and you have to to control the temperature, and you have the famous like big graph. If the Toji don't show you how to do, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. That's the main problem. It takes years because they don't teach you.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get a better level, you have to learn by yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's really difficult. It's really difficult for foreigners and maybe for young Japanese people to do that way.
Yeah.
Like it's the past. For me, it's the past. And breweries, which can't change, for me, they will disappear. They have to innovate about product, and they have to change their mind.
yeah,
Well, for me, I studied many things. I didn't choose, sake breweries like it was just chance. I watched before when I was in France. I watched on YouTube videos about sake process, and I understood why we make koji, how fermentation is. Basically, I understood that because I studied that. So I don't think that people need 10 years to become a Toji, 10 years to become a sushi chef, 10 years to become I don't know what. In Japan, we all say, oh, it takes time. Of course, it takes time because we don't teach you. And I think yeah, but that's true. It's the main problem.
Yeah. Guillaume, if the Toji teaches you too much, then you leave the company. So it becomes a regulation.
Yeah, but because the Toji now don't want to teach me,
Yeah.
I will leave the company.
Yeah.
So what's the best?
The best is to teach people so that they can make better sake and become a better teammate.
Yeah, but the problem is everybody, protects their own job.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know there is now a sushi school in Osaka where they teach everything about sushi in 3 months, and they can become
It's too short. It's too short.
already, like, I think it was even like the person was a female and she won like Michelin star rating after she opened up her restaurant. After just a couple of like months later, she graduated from that 3-month school, and
Wow.
I think that was pretty sensational to Japanese whole society as well. Like, you know, my parents' generation, they don't really talk, especially fathers, and they let you learn from his back, which
Yes.
and that doesn't really make sense in my generation. I'm in the 40s. We always try to get involved in children's educations, and just maybe too much, but everything. So it's changing. If you look at the whole society, but I think when we talk about this shokunin world, traditional industry, like sake is a good example where people just have been, in a way, like conservative. They have been really proud of what they have been doing, right? So I think it takes even longer time to take in these kind of new ideas and stuff. And I think that's what Guillaume has been experiencing with the brewery. And George's experiences in Kyoto, I think it's a little bit like on the they are both in Kyoto. That really is another interesting point.
Yeah, it depends also on what do you expect.
True.
And when someone enter in a sake brewery, what he wants to do? If he wants to be just a worker, or if he wants more. And in my case, I want more. I don't have limit, about my job, and I want to learn every day about sake, about fermentation, about chemical reaction, etc. And if my company, like limit that, I have frustration. So after it depends on everybody.
Yeah, sorry, I agree with what Guillaume's saying to an extent. I mean, I'm kind of the same. When you go into a brewery, you do notice that there's kind of two different types of people. There's the people that are just happy to turn up and clock in and out every evening. And I work with some people that had been brewing for 15 plus years, and really couldn't do any of the main stages on their own. That isn't going to be me, because if that got to that point, then I wouldn't make it 15 years, because I would be bored of the job, and it would cease to become the thing that I enjoy doing. So I think it is really I actually think it's one of the biggest threats to the industry is manpower. There is no doubt that breweries are really struggling to, especially in rural areas. And I'm not sure that the Kurabito Toji system that people have so kind of really held aloft for saving the industry. I'm not sure that in the long run it's actually going to do the industry any good. I fear that it's just kind of papered over some of the cracks really that existed, because they really need to, once this generation of these sort of modern Kurabito Tojis, once they start getting to retirement age, we'll actually see whether or not they've trained enough people, whether they've got a kind of pyramid of talent, working in the new breweries. But yeah, you do see both kinds when you work there. I'm certainly with Guillaume that from day one, I've asked as many questions as I can And that sometimes causes conflict with Japanese workers, because they're some of them are of an age where, you know, I was told at one point at a brewery not to ask any questions, and you know, not that I was trying to be, you know, belligerent or anything, but I ignored it completely because I thought, well, if I don't ask questions, there's no point in me being here. So yeah, I think Guillaume's made a good point there.
Yeah, very interesting, very interesting. Matsuzaki-san, do you have like any opinions on that? Like, you know, I think you've been seeing a lot of breweries. You've been seeing a lot of shokunin, you know, culture, and now and then as well. And then now probably that was I think really a good point that you know, Toji system and the shokunin system probably at some point in the long run, as Andrew said, is something that needs to be changed a little bit from my perspective as well. Yeah, do you have any opinion on that? Like, you know, like traditional industry, like you know, goes without changes. You learn from his back, you know, all that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, this history for more than 30 years. So the first time, maybe it's quite different from now, because there are only Toji, there are not only Toji, but also farmers, and they have the other, some community in their own countries. And that is quite similar to the concept of a house of Japan. So it's so it is very some typical Japanese social style, or I cannot to say good explanation, but now it's very changing very fast, because the young man in Japan, Japanese people, don't have such sense or such idea or such concept. So the young people is not so. Almost of young people has their own private time. They like to have a private time, or just private ideas, or some their own, how to say, their own lifestyle. So I think it could be changing in maybe in 10 or 20 years, even in sake industries, because young Toji is coming, and also young breweries is coming. Sorry, my English is not so.
No, it's great.
I mean, like young Toji, yeah, there are, I think, some breweries, are having young generation. So they probably are the key changes, probably, and they probably, you know, change something.
I think a big key becomes the international market. If you have the small Jizake Sakagura that can find markets around the world away from their prefecture, away from their region, then they start thinking with an international mind if they're focused on their customers. So I worked at Nakashima Shuzo in Gifu, and at one point when I was there, this was 5 years ago, they had been exporting sake to, I think, 30, 32 or 33 countries. And now they're well over 40. And at their peak before COVID-19, these 40 countries helped make 50% of their sales revenue. So they were able to diversify, so they don't focus on Tokai. They can focus on the world. And this has been, I think, a good template, how to find a way to survive the COVID-19 economic problems is to find customers everywhere so that you don't have to rely on on your one region. You have to rely outside of Japan. And here, the international Kurabito can help open doors. You know, the international Kurabito can be the brand ambassador in another country and build a bridge between your Kura in your small area and an entire nation. So we need to, the industry of sake needs to think that we currently send 5% of our sake around the world from Japan. If you look at Italian wine, they ship 50% of their wine just to America. Only America, Italy is sending 50% of their wine. How healthy would the Japanese sake economy be if we sent 50% of our sake just to the United States?
Yeah, you know what? It's a problem of American. So Italian one is not good, so Americans don't understand that.
Well, I'm sorry, Guillaume. I'm sorry. I lay down to my French friend. I know. But it's a good business idea. How to grow the business so that we can have the international sales be more important. And Japan has a history of this. We send Toyotas to America, Toshiba. We send Pentax. We send so many Japanese products. Americans love Japanese products.
But those products are all new, like modern stuff. And I think it's got to do something with this shokunin world again. You know, like what if they lose the connections with the local communities? You know, they sell like over 50% of the products to foreign countries. Would they really like to do that? That's the question, you know.
It's better than closing your doors.
Well, I'm not a person from the brewery, so I should make a statement on this. But I don't know. They have the pride. They have the family heritage.
But to export your pride and your heritage to other countries, even small countries, it's not the United States. That reflects well on your hometown.
Yeah, I think so. I totally agree on that idea. But
in my experience, the Kuramoto, they don't know how to build those bridges. So this is more than making sake. The Kurabito who comes into the company can create this.
More opportunities outside your community. That's
there is some Japanese people that they just want to make business to other Japanese people.
That's another.
Like they want to make business with Japanese people who live in America, for example, or in Europe. Like they trust less, foreigners. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Like maybe a problem of language. I don't know, but it's true. Like my boss prefer Japanese.
Well, it's a comfort level. I think from that point of view, you're less likely to be misunderstood. And, I understand that level of thinking, but, I think what needs to happen is as the beverage becomes more internationalized and sort of more available outside the US. And I certainly had this experience when, I was doing the work for the importer in New York, was for the most part, I think people, when they're exposed to sake, like sake, their initial intimidation is a lot of the language behind it, the terminology behind it. But I always use the example of wine. As I said, I'm old enough that, when I was younger, going out to dinner with my parents, the wine list was the red or the white. Whereas today, we all talk about, as I said, I'll beg to differ with Guillaume, because I love the Nebbiolos and the Barolos. Those are wonderful wines. But we now use terminology like Cabernet Sauvignon, the Merlot, whatever is common knowledge now in the United States. You look at any wine list, I would say almost everybody knows what a Sauvignon Blanc is, Chardonnay, These are very commonly used words, and none of them are English. I see no reason why, in a very short amount of time, that words like Daiginjo, Junmai, Honjozo, whatever it might be, will be equally as household names. We just got to get through that initial hesitation. And that's why I always look at, sort of menu design and everything else in terms of how you promote the product overseas. So much is about how it's presented on a menu to eliminate the intimidation factor, to eliminate the language factor. And I think this goes, obviously for the employees themselves, right? The idea is once you realize that, that foreigner isn't just like scary disease carrying whatever that we're looked at here walking down the street. Everyone has to goes to the other side of the street because God only knows I'm some sort of COVID carrying monster. I get that it's an island culture and everything else, but I think you have given great examples that clearly the culture is capable of looking beyond that. Toyota wouldn't be the biggest car company in the world if they didn't. And I see no reason why, particularly with some, I think I happen to work, frankly, for a Chacho that gets it. He's young, he's only 42 years old, very tech savvy, internet savvy, social media savvy, just gets it. And in terms of looking at how he expands the Kyoto brand and how do you modernize the product. These are conversations we have literally every day. So there is a future. I agree that there's a lot of people look at the most recent election. I hate to bring politics up, but the whole LDP process here, Yuminto, whatever you want to call it, has been eye-opening for me because it's just like, they just don't listen to the voters. The idea is that you pick the guy that is the inside guy that has no popular support because he's a safe choice, and you don't want to ruffle the waves, and the elders have had their positions for 30 years and they want to make sure that they keep their benefits going forward. But let's face it, that cannot last. The Nikais of the world in the Jiminto is 83 years old.
Controversial.
And the idea here is that it eventually has to come. And whether the Kono-sans of the world are, a decade too early or 5 years, whatever it is, it's inevitable that this generational shift will occur. And I think it's the same thing in the sake world, as you see some of these older generation Toji or Chacho, whatever, start to retire and pass it on to their younger generation. I think the younger generation, certainly anybody my age or younger, has grown up in a very different world. We sort of had been forced to grow up in a more international world. And I think, no matter where you're from, if you're under 60, most likely, you have been exposed much more to an international world than if you're, 75, 80 years old, where it's a very different life. So I think that generational change is occurring right now. I'm seeing it. And so, I hold out some future for hope for that, but it's not going to be a smooth transition. There's going to be bumps, and let's face it, not all the brewers are going to make it. The people that get it will make it. The ones that don't won't. It's just, that's reality.
Yep. I hope that kind of smooth changes or transactions really happen. But I just remembered something funny that like in the community of gorilla, there is a leader that has a silver that has a back colored like silvers. So he's called
Silverback.
Yeah.
He is not born as silverback. Once he becomes the leader of the community, his back becomes silver. I've worked for a couple of different Japanese companies, and sometimes young guys, they have different minds, different innovative ideas and stuff, and they do and that. When they become 30, 40, and they have like a title in the company, their attitude, their behavior really do change sometimes. Their back gets silver. I hope that that doesn't happen, that doesn't apply to sake industry, I really do hope the prosperity of the whole industry and everything. But yeah, that's sometimes how it makes it difficult.
That's a great analogy, Koji. Whoa, well said.
Yeah, I totally agree. And as we're seeing here, the change is slow. As I said, I looked at this election. What is it? 2 women, and a Georgetown educated, very fluent English speaking, very comfortably savvy international politician were running for president or running for prime minister here. And of course, they pick the classic, faceless, nameless, generic LDP guy. It's just sort of saying this change takes a while. You figured this was your moment, right? You saw it here, and you saw what happened with the Olympics when they had to sort of get rid of the 83-year-old that sexist, whatever, and they appointed a woman. And said, at what point do you start to get it? That this is the generational moment. It's happening now. But you see how much it's fought, and this election for me was a clear example of this country's got a while to go before they start embracing or celebrating somebody that doesn't toe the precise line, and as you mentioned, doesn't grow the silverback. And I don't know when that happens. I was cautiously optimistic that we might actually see some interesting changes here, but I mean, I'm not, as you can tell, I was clearly not, pleased with the result, because it's just an extension of the status quo at a time when I don't think the country needs an extension of the status quo. But
George,
I'm not in charge.
To interrupt, but I wanted to make sure we only have 10 minutes left.
Yeah, I know.
Talk to the other brewers. Like, could you talk to us about some of the sakes you have coming out? Like Andy, you mentioned the Kyoke sake. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, well, we obviously we haven't started it yet, because the Kyoke is coming from the place
who's making it? Where are they?
It's Sakai, the Uehara-san, Ueshiba-san. So we were very lucky, actually, because these Kyoke are not easy to come by anymore. But Kamotsuru-san in Saigo have actually they're founding a school for Kyoke. I think Kenbishi have done this as well. Yeah, this is a huge step forward, actually. If not looking back to the past, but on the back of Kenbishi starting a school for doing Kyoke and key wooden utensils, Kamotsuru are training three apprentices to do the same. And Ueshiba-san and his colleague came to Kamotsuru not to see their Kyoke, but they actually came to see Saijo Tsuru, who are next door. They had about 7 or 8 of these beautiful Kyoke that had been on their top floor of their brewery for 30 or 40 years or something, being unused. And they brought them down to see if they could refurbish these. And out of, I think, 7 or 8, only 2 of them made the cut. But that was enough. So they're now with Kamotsuru, and Kamotsuru are going to work on Saijo Tsuru's old Kyoke, and they're going to restore them. And then anyone that's in our region can bring Kyoke to Kamotsuru and get them fixed. But it was at that event that we were lucky to get to speak to this famous repairer of Kyoke. And he actually came to see us at the brewery, and we had a couple that again didn't unfortunately make the grade, but we managed to convince him to make us a custom Kyoke. So hopefully we won't be one of the last to get one, but it's very, very likely actually that we could be one of the last to get one of these from him, because as you know, he's been trying to retire for about the last 10 years or something.
What are the dimensions of this tank?
Yeah, I was going to say, what, or at least the capacity, like the liters.
It's very small. So off the top of my head, I think it's 700 liters. We're planning on doing extremely small batch. So maybe like 200 gram, like 200 kilograms of rice. So very, very small batches is what we're gonna use it for.
And is it 100% sugi?
Yeah, it's 100% sugi. It's not new sugi though. It's been repurposed. We're trying to find out from where, because it doesn't matter, but it'll be an interesting story regardless of where it comes from. So it would have been really nice to use our own kioke, but these things have to be in a very, very good condition, even for them to repair them to a level for that you can brew sake in. So because you can't be having a fermentation underway and you realize that it's actually leaking all over the brewery. So but yeah, that's a
rotting or leaking
for this time next year. The new product that's just come out is what's that, sorry?
Sorry, will you be in charge of naming the new sake from the kioke?
Well, it's likely that we're going to just do traditional kimoto. So it's likely for that one that it will be mototsuri. So it's the first time we've done mototsuri, because as I said, these three that have just come out, we omitted that step. But yeah, I don't know what we're gonna call it, but it will be under the Fukucho label, obviously, but it won't be our standard. It won't be in our standard lineup. It's part of a new sort of segment of Fukucho that we've been working on. It started with Legacy, which is a kijoshu. Now we have Kimoto this year, and then next year we'll up the game to Kioke as well.
Yeah. Your Junmai Ginjo, Moon on the Water. I remember having it for the first time maybe 15 years ago in America. It's still one of my favorite Junmai Ginjos. I gotta visit, Andy.
Yeah, you do. That's my favorite Junmai Ginjo. That's the equivalent of Moon on the Water. Made with Hatanso. That's the Hiroshima's historic sake rice. So that is the twin, effectively, of Moon on the Water. But Moon on the Water is made with Yamada Nishiki, and this is made with Hatanso. But yeah, they're orthodox ginjo in the purest sense. So anyone that wants to try orthodox ginjo or dai ginjo, then yeah, that is literally from the home of ginjo production. So
so cool.
Yeah, I don't know if you don't feel comfortable answering this question, but what was the reason to move from the Okayama 18 Zakari to Imanishiki? I mean, you don't have to answer though, because
it's not an easy conversation to have, because there was a number of factors involved, some of which I won't go into because they are personal. But I guess what Guillaume was saying earlier, for me, I have to see a career path wherever I am. Being honest, if one doesn't continue at Imada Shuzo, I would go somewhere else. I've never made any secret of that to anyone I've worked with, and including the owners of the companies. I'm here to learn about sake brewing. It's not a young person's game. It's not kind on your body. It isn't kind on your social life. It isn't kind on your family. It definitely isn't kind on your wallet. So to me, the thing that I've always said, I'm privileged to work for a brewery. I'm privileged that people let me do this, that people give me the opportunity. But there is something that I want back in return, and that is that I want to keep moving forward. That was the main thing. It was actually further away from my hometown. But I felt that that so that my career didn't stagnate, then I had to make a move. So above all the other smaller things that all added up, very grateful to Juhachi Zakari for the 3 years I have. It was an incredible experience, but it ultimately it turned into a stepping stone rather than a destination.
All right. What did the first original idea come from, though? To start working for Juhachi Zakari?
Well, I'd met my Toji before, who's also a Kuramoto Toji. So like I said, I studied in Okayama. But when I came back to Japan, I had absolutely no intention of coming back to work in a sake brewery. But it was kind of round about that time that I was living in Kyoto, actually. And I have to admit, it was actually, there's been a few kind of eureka moments with sake, but one of the most poignant was I went into a sake bar very close to my apartment, and the barman said to me, I didn't know anything about sake, and the barman said to me, where are you from? And I said, I'm from the UK. And he said, I have just the sake for you then. And he put down a glass of Tamagawa spontaneous fermentation Yamahai. And I was just gobsmacked. It completely changed my whole perspective on
gobsmacked. That's great.
So that was actually, I wanted to go home and tell people about that straight away. And the first post I ever did on my Origin Sake social media was to tell people about this Tamagawa that I'd tried. But my personality is, when I get interested in something, I need to get as close to it as possible. So just writing about it or something, for me, I'm not criticizing other people, but for me personally, it wouldn't have been enough. So that was it. Literally that next day, I was on the phone to people from Okayama, saying, people in the industry saying, can you get me a job? And there was 2 breweries looking for someone, and one of them was this brewery that I'd met the Toji. So I was literally within a week, I was back in Okayama and having a job interview. So yeah, that was my reason to start brewing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Andrew, what's your goal?
I make no bones about it. When I was at Juhachi Zakari, I was scared to say it to people because my senpai would normally sort of beat me down for saying it, because the culture at my first brewery, you weren't allowed to really show ambition. But I met a very famous Toji in Hiroshima. He's the president of the Toji Association, of which I'm now a member. And he immediately knocked it out of me straight away. And he said, if you're not aiming to be a Toji, you're wasting everyone's time. And from that day that I met him, I've been honest that I want to be a Toji. Not for the title or for any of that, but I want to have put my own signature on a sake. It's the thing that I would have to say of all the people in the industry, the thing I'm jealous about Philip Harper most is not the fact that he is a Toji and he has that position, but he has a brand that if you tried 10 different sake in a lineup, I'm willing to bet that most people that drink Tamagawa would know exactly straight away that was Tamagawa, because he's not just making sake, but he's put his personality into each glass, and that is what I'm jealous of, and that's what I'm aiming for. The title actually doesn't bother me, but the chance to put your own signature on a brand that's what motivates me and gets me up in the morning.
Yeah, if you are in a brewery that the Toji is famous, that it means you have no chance.
Oh, that's not true, Guillaume, because the Toji is also the Kuramoto. The Kuramoto can retire from Toji work and become the Kuramoto.
Yeah, but it's not common.
Well, it's more common for the Kuramoto to only do the Kuramoto work.
Yeah, most of the time, Kuramoto and Toji are different persons. So
I think it's possible for Andrew to become the Toji where he is now. But if it's not possible, he could go somewhere else.
Yeah, and like I said, like the thing for me is there's an association of, you know, making your own sake and being the Toji. The two are not exclusive. You know, already I feel that I'm in an environment where, I mean, you know, I'm you know, I've only been doing this for 6 years. I'm a complete beginner at the bottom peg of, you know, of this greater, you know, thing. But already, you know, we started making kimoto because of a suggestion that I had. Our you know, our Toji has invested in kyoke because we both have you know, an interest in it. So, you know, it's not the title of Toji that motivates me. If that's, you know, if it's just about being, you know, having that job title, personally, I think that's kind of, you're in it for the wrong reason. The thing that motivates me is having that ability to play with sake effectively, to be able to try new things, and as I said, ultimately one day settle on a style that you like, and put your personality into that brand. So yeah, that maybe I'll never be a Toji, but if I get the opportunity to do that, I'll retire happy. So.
Really interesting. Yeah, you are really, like, you know, I think you're more into the sake that I thought you are, and yeah, I hope it doesn't really, you know, destroy the conversation or the statements you know, Andrew made. But what's Matsuzaki-san? What's your goal?
Let's hear it.
Yeah, in this like sake industry, you've been active for a long time, and what's your goal? What are you looking for? Ultimate goal. That
more sake.
Yeah,
More sake.
one of my dream is making sake school for foreigners in Japan, and just I'm planning now. And
Teacher sensei.
not I'm a teacher, because I don't know how to brew sake. I'm just drinking people. And yeah, because yeah, I almost of sake brewers outside of Japan like want to learn Japanese style in Japan. Yeah, they have some idea to brew their own style, but once they like to learn sake brewing in Japan, so we should, or we have to make some school in Japan to teach foreign people who want to learn sake. So it is some our, how to say, some our just we Japanese, Japan have to just establish such kind of a school in Japan, and yeah, we give much more information about sake to overseas.
Yeah. As far as I know, there are a couple of things going on for this idea, and one of them is Obata-san, like in Niigata.
Yes. They have a small sake. Yeah, they have another small sake brain. Yeah, that's used to be used to the school.
Yeah, you've been there as well, I guess. And I don't really know much about how the place has been going, but is it really working well? Like, is it catching attention from overseas, like international people? Is it like, do you think it's like popping up? It's coming.
Yeah. Yes, it's quite similar idea, but
what you think is a little bit different.
Yeah, I like to. Yeah, I'm just planning make such a school in Hokkaido. You know.
You need a Toji.
Yes.
Andrew, you beat me to it. I do it as well.
I think there's 5 people in the room that could be candidates. So.
Yeah. I lived in Hokkaido for a year, and many people don't know, but Hokkaido grows more rice than even Niigata, right? And so it's a great place for sake, and because of climate change, and the cold
that's one
winter.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just stop Chinese companies from buying all those lands in Hokkaido. Yeah, it's a little bit political issue, but yeah, just
Nigel, can I ask? I don't know your sakagura. Can you recommend some sake to me that you would want me to try?
Shoot. Well, I'm in the brewery store at the moment, so I can grab a couple of products if you want. But
and then also, do you sell it in Kyoto or do you sell it online?
We don't really tend to sell things online that much, just because we don't want to intrude on the people who sell for us and outside of the area and like each prefecture. But God, we do have one place in Kyoto. I think I can't remember the name off the top of my head. I'm sorry, but
okay.
If you're able
it's probably Takimoto.
Yeah. Isn't Otama Jakushi series something special?
Yeah. Oh, it's sold out already. But yeah, Otama Jakushi. It's oh God, is it on this T-shirt? I don't think it is. Oh no, sorry, it's not on this T-shirt. I've got it on a T-shirt. But
Otama Jakushi in English, but yeah, Otama Jakushi series is one of their highlighted sake.
Yeah, it uses it uses sake rice from a terraced rice field. So in Nagano, there's lots of mountains, right? So you get lots of beautiful terraced rice fields. But it's a brand that uses rice from there, and it's very small in quantity. So if you see it, buy it. But yeah, like we had the Hiyoroshi, the autumn sake, which we started selling last month, but it's sold out from us already. So I don't know if you're able to see it anywhere, but I don't know. We're not that big. We're not that big of a breed. In fact, it'll be interesting to talk about how big everyone.
Yeah. What is your kokusu?
We do about 500. I know that Andy's like, I don't know, half that maybe. I'm not sure about everyone else, but yeah, we're not a very well-known brewery. Like, but if you ever see this bottle here, Imanishiki. Oh, sorry, I think the characters are backwards for you guys because of the camera. But yeah, if you ever see a Imanishiki Junmai Ginjo, that's what I think you should try.
Thanks, Nigel.
Thanks for the question, Gordon, by the way.
Yeah,
facilitating.
I love Nagano sake, so I'm looking forward to try.
Oh, Nagano Shuzo Kumiai usually runs annual event, in Osaka as well as at Tokyo as well, and it's been missing like for a couple of years because of the COVID, and I mean, Gordon, I'm gonna send you an invitation, and let's go together, and they're always one of them, and it's really great event that the Nagano Shuzo Kumiai holds.
Yeah, that's actually where Koji-san and I first met, actually, at the Osaka fair. Yeah.
Right. Do you do that in Tokyo as well? Is it only Osaka?
Yeah, Tokyo and Osaka, but of course, recently there's no exhibitions at all. So I haven't left the prefecture. I've only left the prefecture like once since COVID started up. So it's really,
Yeah.
Maybe in the future, maybe next year.
Nigel, how accessible is your Sakagura with the bus and train access?
Not very good. Yeah. If you don't have a car, it can be quite difficult. Have you guys heard of Linear, the maglev Shinkansen?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're building like a new Shinkansen that will travel like 500 kilometers a mile. Sorry, not a mile, an hour. Sorry, 500 kilometers per hour. And there's going to be a station close to where we are. But by close, I mean, it's like a 30-minute drive, but it will increase the accessibility of the area. But I mean,
and
even if you don't come to us, come to just see this area. If you like mountains and hiking and outdoor stuff, just come to Nagano. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nigel.
Great. And it's been already more than nearly 2 hours, I guess. I think it's about time that we should wrap up this session. But does anyone have anything that you want to share, like in this conversation?
Yes, of course. For people around the world, our sake, Noguchi Naohiko Sake Institute.
What's that?
We're available in America.
We don't know that.
Yeah, it's going to be available. So please, if you are around the world, find me on Twitter. I'll help you buy it.
Gordon, would you like to do a bottle swap?
Oh, okay, Nigel. I got you. You got it. Thank you. I'll find you on social media. Okay, please be my Facebook sake friend.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's been, I think, more interesting than I originally anticipated or originally thought. But if no one has anything to share, I think that we should have another round of this 5 people, or with even more international people. We are missing the legend, Phil Hopper, and also other probably people who have more experiences and stuff. And I personally have some know at least some different people who work in different sake breweries and stuff. So anyway, it's been really great. I think it's even better than I really thought that
thank you, Koji.
Have opinions, and everyone has different thoughts and minds and everything, and everybody's from different parts of the world, sake world, and experiences are totally different. And I think it was really great. So to wrap up, let's just have another meeting of this, and
How
let's
about
just
another kanpai? Kanpai to Koji. Kanpai to Haro. Thank you, Matsuzuki-san. Thank you for bringing us together.
I hope, Guillaume, please, I mean, you stick with sake industry for a while more. And
今は
yeah.
一緒だよ。
Saw your post that you've been doing some different things as well, flying the helicopter.
It's drone.
Helicopter drone is so different.
今年は新しいものの作りなと考えた。
そうですね。
I mean, something will work out, and
今までヤマハイとかキムトとか即上なそれだけでしょ？
Yes, for 8 years doing Yamaha.
はい。それだけで僕は新しいもののことをの作り方考えた。
You're great, Guillaume.
Yeah.
Kanpai.
you see a prosperous future of sake as well as your future.
This year, I thought about a new motto, and I talk with maybe you know about Fujimoto. Do you know Fujimoto?
Fujimoto-san, Fujimoto Brewery
Yeah. Fujimoto-san
in Kyoto.
Yo-san, yeah. Used to be in Aikun Brewery?
そうだね。で、
エイクン当時ね。
そう。まあ、当時かとか、もう、でも、去年に、藤本さんに、僕の私、元作り、直してて、で、できるかな。そう、多分、新しい元作りできるかな。
A 君で
いや、A 君じゃなくて、それは自分の考えな。
自分でね。
そうですね。
あとはもう、月のかつらとか、A 君か、他のところかとわからないけど、今は、自分の考えだけだよ。
なるほど。Okay, then Matsuzaki-san is going to make a brewery in Hokkaido and you're going to have Moto master for the first year. We don't know.
DM, if you go to Hokkaido, I will work for you.
どこでもいい。
I bring you to Hokkaido.
Yeah, Guillaume, you will be the silverback. I will be looking over your shoulder. How is Guillaume making the sake?
Flying it by air, yeah.
けどもう北海道は結構遠すぎるな。
遠すぎる。
僕はもう京都とか大阪とか一番いいと思う。
But not so far from. It's nearer than France.
Yeah. Only a little.
His Japanese accent is like being more like Kansai and the shokunin, and I think he has to stick with this region.
Exactly. Oh my god.
Yeah, Kansai shokunin. Beyond it, in 8 years, you can't really help, but yeah, you're stuck here.
いや僕はおまにな。京都とか大阪とか、なんかもう、のこと大好きだから、
Right. Yeah, I know.
おまにな、引っ越し、なんか、もう、することはもう難しいな。
All right. So I am going to make a new innovative in the heart of Dotonbori. Yeah, you're gonna draw attention from French tourists. Does that make sense? All right. But anyway, thank you. It's been really a long time, but thank you for joining. And I think it's been really productive, constructive, conversation that we made. So the brewery season is just, I think, about starting or has already started. So
keep up your hard work.
Right. Yeah. It's, for your case, selling sake, but then as well as still keep making good sake for the Japanese culture and the culture that you belong to originally, and that will make the whole world, I think, more peacefully. And let's not just get silver backed our thoughts and opinions on on ourselves. And let's just have second round in a while.
Oh yeah.
I think it's been really great. So until then, see you, and let's have a good weekend.
Yeah, thanks again,
Thank you,
Koji, for the
Koji.
invite. Terrific.
Yeah, thank you.
To see you next time.
Thank you, Matsuzaki-san.
はい。
Thank
Yeah.
you so
Thank
much.
you, everyone.
ありがとうございました。
See you soon.
お疲れ様です。
Got it.
乾杯。
はい。
はい。